It's Operation Babble with Myke Shrews. It's pop culture, music, movies, TV too. It's time to explore life. It's Operation Babble time.
Ah, damn it, Jim. Wait. Or wait, no, damn it, Michael. Oh, but wait, I could also say, damn it, Isaac, because audience, I have a special treat for you. I have my buddy Isaac Mahoney from the Facebook group that we have, but also from my little nerd group.
You mean the guy who always calls me out when I mistype something or don't get my opinion out properly?
Look, you know, I would make fun of that, but isn't that just everybody at this point, Myke?
Yeah.
But hello, Isaac.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It is going well, my man. So nice to finally have you on. I've actually wanted you on for quite a bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, Isaac is a very, very good friend of mine from high school. He actually kind of got me into theater, first of all, which kind of then led to us making some really good for our level of talent for the most part. We made some films when mini DV tapes were a thing. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But he always really impressed me with his critical eye to filmmaking, and not only that, his critical ear to soundtracks. That was always your big obsession. Was you always made the sexy mixtape, but with movie soundtrack songs.
Yeah.
So I guess this would be a really good opportunity. Just kind of tell everybody about yourself and kind of what you're up to.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, my name's Isaac, and like John said, we've known each other for a long time, and I'm kind of one of those guys that's a all-around nerd. I just love lots of different things: movies, soundtracks, comic books. So all the stuff that you guys are talking about, I've been into for a long time.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working as a pastor in the Denver area. So
don't get scared, people. It's fine.
Oh
It's fine.
yeah.
He can hang. Trust me, if he's my friend, he's not gonna shy away.
Oh yeah. You know, you got to be pretty cool if you're in the Denver area. You're not gonna make it. Like.
He's edgy.
Yeah, but you know, what I love about it is I get to talk with people all the time, and you get to work with stories all the time. Like what makes stories work, what makes them important, what makes us resonate with them. And so whether it's a really old story or it's myth or we're talking movies and stuff, I love it. I'm all about it.
I'd make the argument that essentially your source material is considered one of the top, stories to be told to teach people how to do stuff. So that's
oh yeah. Yeah. You
cool.
Look at hero's journey and all that kind of stuff, like what makes a classic story, what makes heroes and villains. Oh yeah, that's all over.
And I remember you used to I don't know if you still do, I haven't kept up with it. Do you still post your sermons online when you're done?
I do, yeah. They're on our website, yeah.
I'll definitely want to hawk that out. And
Like, are they like video or just audio?
Just audio.
Just
yeah.
audio. Okay.
We're not high tech enough for video.
Yeah, because Michael, I gotta tell you, this guy, he's like the king of analogies. Like that was always my favorite thing. And no matter what he would do, he'd always try to. There was always a movie or a TV show he had.
Yeah.
To equivalent to his.
So basically, like
stuff.
you're the reason John's such an ass to everybody else already.
I would say he planted the seed. I would, if anything, I would say he was kind of more the reason I actually have a moral barometer. I'm not quite as dickish as I could be. So if anything, I would say thank you for mellowing me out from time to time.
You're welcome, man. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, so I guess really the reason why I brought him on was because I had recently watched a movie that I really liked, a sci-fi film. We brought it up weeks and weeks and weeks ago. But you recently rewatched it. I kind of just did like a clip arts run yesterday just to kind of refresh a bit. because I thought your take would be really good on this. And then, of course, we'll probably, as in Operation Babble lore, we're, the gods of tangent. So I'm sure that'll happen plenty. But I'd like to kick it off with the idea that if people like sci-fi apocalyptic craziness, if you haven't seen Book of Eli, I'd recommend going and seeing that because we're about to really dissect it, I believe. So,
Are
Michael,
we going to babble it?
Oh, dude, we're just gonna babble all over it. A babbling brook, if you will. So, Michael, have you seen it recently?
Not recently.
But I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, I remember the main points of it. Basically, I don't remember a whole lot of the. I mean, it's post-apocalyptic. The aesthetic is basic. You've seen Mad Max. You've seen all of them. So,
yeah. Because what's the number one thing with the post-apocalyptic movie? It's remove one resource, and move forward.
I think the only one that wasn't like just all there's sand everywhere was just Waterworld. Waterworld was the one that went away from that, and Postman maybe. Postman was a little different.
I'd make the argument Endgame. Because there was nothing dystopia about it, even though it should have been. But I don't want to get into that. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry I did it.
So back when Book of Eli came out, I was actually inspired. And I was like, this post-apocalyptic genre is pretty dope. Like, I'm going to check this out. So I made it my goal to watch every single post-apocalyptic movie. This was like 2011. Mm-hmm. And at that time, there was maybe 20 max. I mean, you got the Mad Max movies, Waterworld, Postman.
You made me nervous. You said 20 Max, and I'm like, they made 20 Mad Max movies? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But after Book of Eli, it was like 2009, 2010. That's when you had Book of Eli, The Walking Dead show hit.
Yep.
The Road came out with Viggo Mortensen.
Oh, it's so good.
And when that happened, it just exploded. Mm-hmm. And now there's tons of them.
Yeah.
I looked it up in 2018. There was 17 post-apocalyptic movies that came out.
Just in that year?
Just in 2018, yeah.
Jeez.
How many of them I guess that would be the hard part. How many of those were like big budget, or were they like TV, like sci-fi stuff? Or was
I don't know. I mean, it looks like at least half of them were pretty crappy.
Yeah,
were
I guess
most
you
of
could
them
make...
like zombie ones though, or?
See, I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Because, you could argue flippin' Resident Evil kind of slips into that type of genre after, like, the first or second one. Because the second one kind of starts to get there, but the third one, they're legitimately
The
in
second
desert.
One's just the one town, and then the third one, it's like
the
everywhere.
one with Myke Epps. Oh, my God, and the stars. That one, I remember, because it was funny because... Again, it's so weird. These were the movies and shows that came out around the time Isaac and I were kind of like at the peak of our friendship. And, obviously life is life. He moved to Colorado and I moved to Florida. And, him and I were kind of like the two people that were in like the two completely different groups. But for some reason we had we had the passion for something. And so, we're kind of we're the good. Actually, we've been thanks to the Facebook group. Look at that, media bringing people together. We've been talking more because of it, but pretty much after I hit Florida.
That's the whole point of this whole thing, dude.
Right. That's why stories are important. Right. They bring people together.
I've connected with a lot more people recently because of that group too.
Mm-hmm. But I remember being terrified because Isaac lived out in like the middle of nowhere when we lived in Iowa. We were already in a small town, and then, of course, he lived in the outskirts of the small town. And he's in this pretty big house. We're in this basement. He's out in the middle of nowhere. So there's, like, no street lights or anything. Everything's, like, pitch black, and it's terrifying. It's, like, kind of like the area you're pretty sure Jason Voorhees will come out of the lake and come murder you. And we were playing Resident Evil. What was it? What was the one with the alligator, the shark that jumped out?
It was the first one. It was the first remake of the first Resident Evil, yeah.
Oh, God, I remember we watched that, and I was terrified to walk out to my car at night. And then that was around the same time the first Resident Evil movie came out. Or the second one. And I remember us watching the first one and going, it's not the game, but it wasn't as bad as what Doom tried to do.
Oh man.
So you kind of let it go.
With The Rock.
Yeah. And then the second movie came out, and you could just tell it was delving into nonsense. It kind of reminded me of what Mortal Kombat to Mortal Kombat Annihilation did.
Oh,
It was kind of like that. You know, it leaned too much into it and got weird.
See,
But
I'm lucky enough where I never actually played Resident Evil. I still to this day have yet to do it.
Yeah.
So I have no idea the difference between the movie storyline and the game storyline.
Well, and see, and honestly, I don't even know if I've ever actually played the game physically. I've always just watched people. I've watched Isaac play 1 and 4, maybe, and I've seen everybody play 4 because apparently it's like the creme de la creme of the Resident Evil games. But the games and movies are pretty much, they both have zombies and a couple of characters with the same name, and that's about it.
They're not zombies, John. They have the what is it, Z strain or V strain or whatever,
T-virus.
T-virus with it. So many freaking movies out there that have a virus in them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's splitting hairs. They're all zombies. I don't care. 28 days later, they're raging. No, they're zombies. I don't care. They're all. But so we had the post-apocalyptic thing is freaking me out though. That many. I mean, I guess you could make the argument, how many flippin' superhero movies do we get a year now?
Right.
And TV shows and stuff.
There was a point where each one was kind of unique. Like Michael, you mentioned Waterworld.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which
Not a fan of the movie.
It flopped, but that's like one of my favorite post-apocalyptic movies was Waterworld after Mad Max Thunderdome. Those were like my top 2.
Yeah.
And Thunderdome's
they
just fun.
They have that iconic setting. Like you're
Yeah.
never gonna forget those movies.
Yeah.
I guess Escape from New York's technically a post-apocalyptic one, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. I looked into this too. So there's dystopia, which is a future where there still is society, but there's problems, there's issues.
Right.
You know, so like Equilibrium would be a dystopia.
Ooh. Okay.
Or I haven't watched it, but Handmaid's Tale would be dystopia. Or V for Vendetta. That's a great example.
There we go. I like that one. Yeah.
Yep. Whereas post-apocalyptic is there's some sort of horrible war or something that destroyed, and it's kind of like hit reset on society.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like it's like the Wild West meets. I think it's kind of like sci-fi in a way, because if you think about, and here, Michael, you're gonna get an idea of why John loves me so much. So, like science fiction is all about like pushing the boundaries of humanity, and we get to explore these ideas, right? We are, as human beings, we are explorers. We go out and we're learning stuff, but we also learn about ourselves. Mm-hmm. So you get like Star Trek and all that. You guys talk about Star Trek all the time. You're engaging with these ideas. There's the frontier makes us reflect on ourselves and like what's most important to us. Well, you've had sci-fi for a long time, at least over 100 years. And that's been done. Aliens have been done, time travel, alternate theory, timelines, all that.
Yep.
So what is new? What is the frontier? What if it's something just totally wipes out society? Like nukes are done. And how do you survive in our world when everything is different?
I see, and I don't know if this is. I love that. That was great. I don't know if this is gonna get too artsy. So feel free to guys, give me like the wank off symbol, like cut it out. I like the idea that like especially with sci-fi or the dystopia apocalyptic stuff is like, it's almost like, well, and I guess stories in general, you get this idea of, they're almost like built-in metaphors. Like it's an opportunity for you to tell these stories or like these depictions of mirroring like society or like cultural interaction and things like that, but getting to put this weird package on it. So you're not necessarily, it doesn't feel like you're literally pointing the finger at someone. You're giving this like idea, this just fictional idea for people to infer from and reflect. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of movies tank right now is because that subtlety is gone now. They're literally pointing the finger and waving it in your face and telling you that these things are bad, instead of here's the imagery, here's the stuff, and now you go home and reflect on all the things that you heard and said, rather than I just got a soap.
Yeah.
I just watched somebody on a soapbox for 2 hours.
Well,
so.
storytelling in general has just gone downhill over the last year or two.
Well, nobody wants to put the effort in, and then I think it's the exclusivity of everything right now, especially with Hollywood, because everybody always talks about networking being the strongest thing to get you somewhere, and I think that's a problem. And the fact that schools legitimately teach that, and I think it's underhanded. I won't talk about the film school I went to, because that's what they preached. Networking. That's how you get there. Who gives a shit about your talent?
Right.
Like, it's pretty much how it felt, and that's why I always make that talk about, like, writers, man. Passion can be seen. You can't fake passion. You can't do it. And people are like, well, actors can. It's like, no, only good actors can. You know, I'm not getting passion from Ruby Rose. I'm just saying.
Oh God.
But we'll save that one for later.
Don't
but
segue
I guess,
already, John. Come
yeah,
on.
sorry. But yeah, I love. That's why I love movies. That's why I like storytelling. That's why I'm sure Isaac got into wanting to be a pastor, just being able to use stories and metaphors and imagery to essentially show people that it's not inherently bad to question what you're doing, or whether or not what you're doing is right and wrong, or what is happening to you is right or wrong. And that critical thinking is extremely important, I think. So,
yes, totally.
But I guess that tangent number one. So since there was like dozens of flippin' apocalyptic movies to choose from, where would you rank Book of Eli up there for you? Like, you know, out of all the ones you'd go pick, where would that fall? You think?
I'd put it probably top 5, really.
Okay.
I mean, Road Warrior is awesome. Fury Road is awesome. Like, Fury Road is probably number 1. I think The Road is really great. If you're into reading books, the book is even way better than the movie.
I totally recommend the audiobook, by the way.
Yes,
I got it
so good.
It's absolutely phenomenal.
It is awesome.
Can I say too, Fury Road was one of those movies too that there was barely any dialogue in it, but it was still a great movie. And it just proves that, like, how lazy people are getting with how they even write. It's like, not for that movie, but for other movies, it's just like, what are you guys doing? This movie has like 0 dialogue. It's awesome. Whereas like you can go to an indie film that has like a crap ton of dialogue, and this is just like, okay.
I want to jump on that for just a second, just because I have heard that argument a lot. And I want to make sure we keep fair to actual writers who are out there and working. Just because there's not a lot of dialogue does not mean that script was thin.
Right.
If that makes sense. You know, because you have to, a lot of good writers, when you don't have dialogue, especially if you're going to go into animation and stuff, you need to be very specific about what you're trying to portray and setting the scene.
Sometimes now sometimes they're
for
just
the most
like,
part,
just write, you know, whatever you want.
Well, I'm saying, but that's the problem. That's where the problem comes, is because you sought out a storyteller to tell you that, and then you tie their hands, and it's not how that works. They need to paint the scene and the motivations for the characters and all that stuff.
Right.
And then you get to visually represent it. Because one of the best examples, I would say, and especially because it gives for the kids argument too, because I hate this idea that we have to dumb stuff down for children. It makes no sense. Yeah. If anything, you should put more stock into that stuff, because children are so
like, look at the cartoons we had versus the stuff they have now. Like, Teen Titans Go versus a Gargoyles.
But see, my whole thing was I wanted to stay with your writing. Is you talked about Fury Road having little to no dialogue. Wall-E, I mean, come on, it's essentially post-apocalyptic, no dialogue, and it's Disney and kids. Man, I just hit every check mark there. Done. Mic drop. Yeah.
Well,
so,
like, what made Fury Road so tight is that every single thing that they showed you, like, had a point. Like, every shot, and they actually like, the action scenes were so tight because they introduced things and resolved it. Like the scene with the motorcycles jumping over the truck and they're throwing. So you see him jumping over and you're like, okay, why are they doing that? And then you see him start to throw the Molotov cocktails down. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Then you see the engine start on fire and you're like, dang, this is getting bad. Then you see a shot of the air intake shutting and then the plow in the front lowering and the sand coming up. So it's like there were so many shots that all line that up.
Yeah.
So you understood each idea one at a time and it was resolved.
It's something that Fast and the Furious should have done with some of their shots.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Or I watched a video on The Hobbit being terrible at this. Is like you see a problem and then the next shot is the hero having an answer to that problem.
Right away.
It's like that was nothing. That gave no tension. That did not allow me to understand what's even happening.
Well, and it takes you out too, because it's like, you know, I always tell people, it's like people don't understand when they say pacing, what pacing is.
Guys have given me so many good segues
Yeah.
to freaking Batwoman already with everything here.
Well, the problem is that we say stuff like that, and there's about 900 examples you can put out, and that's the problem. I mean, I could tell you Last Jedi, and Episode 9 is going to be just as bad, and you know, Supergirl's getting tanked now too, and
Is it?
yeah. Well, I think
I haven't watched any of this.
To be fair, I
yet.
think that's Batwoman's fault too. But no, but I think, and especially with like you keep talking about how like tight the action is, and you're even talking about the imagery and stuff. How good it all serves a purpose. It makes you appreciate the acting or the action and stuff more because you're not questioning everything else that's happening around it. Because it's like, again, with The Hobbit, man. If I'd have cared about what the story was doing at the time, I wouldn't have picked out all the technical issues it had. I was just like, the barrel scene and stuff was so stupid. And you see Legolas running around, and I'm like, they cut to GoPro footage like 3 times. Had I been in
The Hobbit,
in
the first one,
the first Hobbit.
That's the only one I saw. So
that's the only one I saw, and I only saw like 40 minutes of it because I rage quit. And if I'd have cared what was happening, or if the dialogue was good, or the characters were relatable or something, I would have been like, okay, GoPro, I get it. They were lazy, moving on. But it was just, it was just one thing after another. And it's like I said, you don't earn this respective leeway. I would argue that's why Game of Thrones was able to get to 8 seasons, was because the first 2 seasons were so perfect. You get to 3 and you're like, well, there's some dumb stuff. It's fine. 4 starts to really get dumb, and you're like, okay, well, I didn't read the books, so we'll be okay.
So kind of like
5
Arrow.
and 6 happen, and you're like, I'm done. You're like, I'm done. What?
just like Arrow then.
Pretty much, like pretty much any like first phase Arrow stuff.
Yeah.
2 solid seasons, and then it became a formula. That's always my problem, is the formulaic making of things.
Well, as soon as Arrow decided they were going to build a universe, that's when everything really started going wonky.
Yeah.
But
so now we got Fury Road coming
now
off.
is Fury Road the one with like the milk factory?
Yep.
Like all the chicks and okay.
Yep. Yeah, because the second one is about gasoline.
Yeah.
The third one is about Thunderdome.
Yep.
And then Fury Road is about the brides.
Yeah.
And
That's the one
baby.
with Tom Hardy, which if you watch that and then watch Venom, you'll really see that Venom is just a bad movie. Because it's like Tom Hardy.
It's also from Sony. It's also from Sony. So I always say that you're pretty much going in assuming it's going to be terrible.
I mean, technically, the 2 Spider-Man movies we had too were from Sony, but Marvel had some influence into them.
Wrong. No way. I will never agree with that. Ever.
You don't have to agree with it. It's
you don't
facts.
think you really think Sony had anything to do with any of that production other than money and giving the character? No way. No way. I refuse. I want proof.
John's
proof.
I want proof that they made a decent movie.
Well, because I still make the argument. Everybody's looking at the old the Raimi Spider-Mans with these weird rose-colored goggles because all the other ones have been shit. Like don't get me wrong. We've had this talk a billion times. I'm pretty much on the same track as I think 90% of the world is. The second Spider-Man Raimi one is like pinnacle comic book films. Thank that one for where we are now. The first one is not as well received as everybody thinks. It just wasn't. Now it is.
Hey, John.
It's kind of like
John.
It's kind of what?
Far From Home's on Blu-ray. You gonna go pick it up today?
No. It's that movie made me sad. It wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong, but there was a lot of stupid decisions that they made in it, subjectively for me, that I just. The bar scene's the worst. The reveal scene of Mysterio might be the worst scene in the film, and it broke the entire movie.
I still am going to go back and take a soundbite from our cast when you talked about it, because you're.
Why?
Not my movie was freaking hilarious.
Oh, I'm not kidding. I will never forget it because after Captain Marvel was retconning shit, and then like you had, and I'd already been hurt by like Last Jedi retconning a lot of stuff, and all these movies just, and then, oh God, and then Endgame. Ugh, I hate you, Endgame. Then Far From Home comes, and I'm like, you know what? I really liked Homecoming. Like, I loved Homecoming. I think it's one of the better MCU films. And so I'm like, and I love Tom Holland. So I'm like, I can totally work with this. Let's see where they go. It's fine. I hated Endgame, but this could maybe at least be a good, like, by itself kind of thing. We'll see what happens. Boy, oh boy, when he starts doing that damn speech, because I'm already out of the film at this point, because they're both sitting at the bar in their suits right after being on the news and stuff, and nobody's looking at him. Nobody's talking to him. Nobody's even coming like going like, oh hey buddy, how's it going? Snapping photo. Why is Peter just standing there without his mask on? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's like it's Barry Allen running around telling everybody his flipping identity. So it makes no sense. So I'm already broken, and then the reveal happens, and I'm like, oh man, I was actually really liking Jake Gyllenhaal as the good guy. Like, I was actually like, this dude's really, and I don't like Jake Gyllenhaal particularly as an actor. So like me actually enjoying him and doing all the scenes, I was like, oh man, when he tells Peter, don't ever feel bad for being the smartest person in the room, I was like, oh man, that hit me. And like, Peter really needed that. He got this mentor. This is working for me. This is on all cylinders. And then he just turns into one-dimensional, I'm a bad guy. And I'm like, oh, I want to die. And then he does the cringy speech. And I'm sitting in the theater, and I see Hannah look over at me. Because they do the flashback to him talking about the barf thing. And Civil War, and Mahoney, if you don't know, Civil War is probably my favorite film in the MCU. But I still, like, I would rank Avengers or, like, Infinity War up there. Well, Infinity War got knocked down because of Endgame, but Avengers is up there for me, the first one, and then Civil War is like, I think, like pinnacle storytelling and comic book movie. Oh man, when they retcon him being at the stage in that scene, I was like, I literally curled up into my movie theater seat. Hannah looks over to me, and I put my head in my hands. I go, oh no, don't do this. Not my movie, please. I was like, of all the movies you could have retconned right now, you couldn't do it to Iron Man 3. You couldn't do it to Iron Man 2. It had to be Civil War, didn't it? And it was just like, oh man.
See, I think movies are also getting a little like that. I'll admit the way they did the exposition of that was kind of creative in a way for that film, but a lot of things are doing that now where they're forcing the exposition in their dialogue so much so that it leaves the audience being like, well, now I don't even have to think today.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, oh yeah, go ahead.
This actually brings us back to the Book of Eli. If we want to go back, we can totally take this train.
No, because I have talked extensively. Thank you for saving me from the MCU hole. Go back.
Because this is one of the main things I realized rewatching Book of Eli is it shows us so much, but it hardly tells us anything.
Right.
Oh yeah, which you would think. Which is funny because with most films, that would be an issue. Like I would call that an issue. This movie really, I love movies that do this too, that require a second viewing. Not necessarily require it, but just gives you so much more. Like the ending completely recontextualizes the film. And because I think the whole reason is because it wants to hit you with those tropes. They don't want you to think about, it's like, no, we're in post-apocalyptic. This is what this guy does. Nope. They're marauders. bad guy versus good guy. There's a MacGuffin. There's a thing we're looking for. Bing, 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 bing. So then when you get the reveal at the end, you sit back and you go, did I just miss everything, or was that all set? And then you gotta go back and watch it and go, oh man. And they don't nail it the whole way through, but man, when they nail it though, it's just like, you just constantly moments of just like, well done. Like you just like golf clap for him while you watch it.
Right. So we're talking spoilers for this movie, I'm guessing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's two big reveals in the movie.
Actually, because I like your storytelling and stuff, could you give us just in case, because this does happen. Some people actually like to hear about the film and then go back, especially because it's an older film. A lot of people don't really care about super spoilers. But I'd also argue, like, if you haven't seen it, please go see it. But at the same time, we'll talk about maybe like a quick little plot outline synopsis thing,
sure.
and then move into that.
Yeah. So it kicks off with Denzel Washington traveling across the wasteland. You get this idea that he's going west. He's kind of the lone good guy, Old West type character, right? And you see him being a good guy. Raiders attack him. And he's not just mowing people all down, being a jerk. Like, he has a very just respectful way about him, but he's willing to defend himself. So you're like, all right, this guy's pretty sweet. You get this idea. He's carrying a book with him. It's really important. We have no idea what it is. Then it kind of jumps to this town, and there's a leader of this town named Carnegie, played by Gary Oldman. Yes. Awesome. And he's looking for this book, and he's sending out these marauders looking for a book. And he says, this is power. And so you start getting this idea that there was a war 30 years ago. They talk about this, and they burned a lot of religious books.
Well, and they called it, and I guess what happened was I don't know if anybody's ever played like the Fallout games or anything like that. Right. Kind of feels exactly like that, because the opening scene is like this green filtered, like ashy snow coming from the sky, and he's like bow hunting a cat for food, which like it shows you get a lot of stuff right there. It's like you can tell there's radiation, there's probably stuff from the sky. Mm-hmm. He's eating cats, so obviously food is a commodity, blah blah blah. And but the thing about the books I really loved what the movie did is it's not even necessarily that, I mean, obviously, especially if you've already watched it or whatever, you can tell that book is important that he's carrying. But the guy is Gary Oldman is just looking for a book, because there was he doesn't know how many there are left. He just knows that I need this specific text. Yeah. And I need to find it. I don't know what it looks like. I know it has this symbol on it, and he's constantly sending out marauders to go find it. He's kind of like the gangster boss man of the town. And I always like that little bit, is that he had a book and the other guy was, and then after a while you go, well, duh, he's probably got one that he wants. But I like the idea that he's been on this search for a very long time, and this man's been on a journey for a while, and you're about to watch two really strong personalities clash, potentially over the same thing, which it's really neat. It creates this nice I don't know, this nice duality that you don't get a lot.
Not only that, Gary Oldman as a bad guy is always fun.
Dude, Gary Oldman in general. Come on, man. Even when he was like eating marbles in Dark Knight Rises and you couldn't understand him half the time, I was fine with him. But
so there's also a nice Easter egg when the Marauders bring in this pile of Bibles, and they don't have what Gary Oldman's looking for. The book that pops out on the top is the Da Vinci Code.
Is it really? I'd never even noticed that. Oh my God. How many other titles do you think you could see in that if you paused? Now I want to go do that.
Yeah.
No.
They had like magazines, and there's like an Oprah magazine and stuff. And yeah.
Oh, and I love it too, because just like the spewing of the materials that you see, obviously it's for the time, but at the same time, it works for the fact that it's like, you hit the reset button, so you've dropped back a while. Mm-hmm. Denzel Washington's character has an iPod,
Yeah.
And when I say iPod, people are like, you mean like a phone, right? I'm like, no. I think people might forget there used to be an iPod that had like the dial on it, which let me tell you is still my favorite, by the way. It's, for music and like audio stuff, the spin dial's the best. But it was just neat because they were dropping books and magazines and stuff, and it's just like the materialism that no longer matters, and the things you wouldn't even think about because they're using like wet naps from like KFC and stuff for like bathing. I'm like, man, you really don't think about it until like water is always a great example. It's just like how important it is, and it's God, they just. I don't know. There's just little moments like that I appreciate.
I mean, another really tight thing about that scene with the books too, and Gary Oldman is they established that no one under like 40 or 50 can even read.
Yep.
And these guys don't know what these books are. They don't even know how to read. And then they say, what do you want to do with these books and magazines or whatever? And Gary Oldman says, burn them. Mm-hmm. So it's like he was even trying to control reading as a resource in itself.
Which you could make the argument is happening right now. It's the idea of keeping the classes under you undereducated. Therefore, if they're not critical thinking, they won't care about what's happening to them. They just assume this is the system and this is how it works. And people who feel like they don't have purpose want guidance. It's just how it is. And some people either want to be the one guiding people, or they immediately want to submit and be the ones that are guided, just for either necessity or just lack of, I don't know, I guess really at anything, education, strength, what have you. And it's just cool. And I love that. And it's like somehow even in those times, you still have an education, like a gap, which represents its power. But at the same time, like, Gary Oldman's not like this big buff dude. He's got the big buff bald henchman, bad guy number one.
Right.
But yet he's still in control. And I always love that. I love stuff like that. It makes you think.
He's always good. He's just always good.
I liked, I think that's the contrast that really drives like the whole acts 2 and 3 of the movie. Is you have Eli who's carrying this book, and as it develops, you start to realize like, oh, maybe this is a religious book, because they talk about how when this nuclear war happened, they burned all the religious books because some people blamed that for the reason for the war. You're like, okay, you're starting to put it together why this is so important.
Well, and they bring up the event was called like the Flash. They bring that up a couple of times, which burns out a lot of people's eyes and stuff, and that's why like during the day and stuff, it's even they try to really depict that like over brightened, overexposed thing, and people have to wear goggles out in the sun and stuff like that, or they'll burn their retinas out, which is neat. And I love because the movie just slightly hints at it a couple of times, once or twice through the movie, just to kind of breadcrumb you, which is nice. So that's cool too. And so pretty much that big heading is when he hits that town. We get the Gary Oldman introduction. We get the rest of his Marauders back, and you also find out that one of the first groups that that Eli encountered happened to be the henchmen for him. Yeah. So that's really fun when he ends up at the building, and you get the introduction of how everything is about to essentially play out, which is kind of fun. Kind of like Eli's just pit stopping, and that's when nonsense ensues.
Right. He's there to get his iPod recharged, kind of fill up on supplies and move on. And he knows this town is trouble. He doesn't want to go in the bar because he knows it's trouble, and yet he has to go get water. And it sets everything up. And that's actually something like I loved this scene because this is a little bit tangent, but it's self-contained. So I listened to a really great book called Disaster Diaries. How I learned to stop fearing the apocalypse. It's a take on how I learned to love the atomic bomb, right? It's called Disaster Diaries. Basically, it's this ex-military guy who started having nightmares about what if the apocalypse actually happened and like what would happen to his kid. And so he decided, all right, I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to go around the world and study with experts on how to do all the skills you would need to survive the apocalypse. So he's got a chapter on like
okay,
surviving.
So we got Disaster Diaries. So I'm assuming this is the same series. I decided to look it up. By
You always do
Armageddon?
this. Can I just say that, John?
What?
A guest is explaining something, and you're just like, I'm gonna look it up and be like, this is what it is exactly.
Well, no, because I want to. Because he's gonna get it. He's gonna get into the actual material.
Yeah.
I wanted to like.
I'm just saying, because I listened to another one of our casts where we had a guest earlier.
So it's Armageddon is the author. Is that? I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right. They got kind of like kitty covers. I see like zombies, aliens.
No, this one
Sam
is
Sheridan.
Sam
Okay.
Sheridan. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Disaster Diaries: How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Apocalypse.
Okay. I wanted to just make sure. Okay.
Sorry, I looked it up last night. I couldn't quite remember it.
Oh no, well, because usually if you bring something up, I'm like, well, I gotta know everything about that afterwards.
You get the
So he's
audio
got a
book.
cool, like the format is cool because he's got a chapter on all these different skills. Like one's on how to hotwire a car, and he learned to drive from a stunt driver, and hunting, and first aid, and like just all these kind of really interesting places and people that he meets. And he has one on knife fighting. And what they said is, if you're in the apocalypse, the best thing to do is have a machete or just a huge knife that is razor sharp, and you do not use that for anything but fighting. You do not hunt with it. You do not cook with it. You have to keep it razor sharp so that when you need it, it can actually cut through people. It can cut through clothing, everything.
Through bone and all that.
Yeah, and that's what you see in Book of Eli's. He has this machete, this razor sharp. He does not use it for anything else. And when he gets that out, it's
on.
Oh, man.
Dude, that fight scene in that bar is so cool. And it's like, and I love it because it also shows off and who doesn't love a hero who's like precise? Like,
yes.
Unless you're in one of the, like, it's a guy who's like thrust into the position and he has, kind of like, because that's kind of one of my issues, like with James Bond from time to time. It's like, oh man, for a guy who's been doing this so long, he gets his ass kicked a lot. Like it doesn't really, it doesn't. He's not really like ready for anything. But like with Book of Eli, dude gets surrounded by like 8 people, and it's just like clockwork. The dude is a surgeon, and it's just like that's like it just adds to his like stoic persona. And it's so badass. It's like,
yes.
Oh, and Denzel Washington is just, he's perfect.
Yeah.
But
Wasn't Jackie in that movie?
oh god, yeah, easily the weakest part of that film by
Mila
far.
Kunis, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when I think she was getting casted. I hate to be that guy, but I think she was getting casted by popularity and her looks. Because she was also in that terrible Max Payne movie with with what's his face?
The Jupiter Ascending movie, or
Is it Marketing Mark?
That was awful too. Yeah, it was Mark Wahlberg. Absolutely. No, there was a game called I already forgot it because I don't care. Max Payne. It was a video game.
Yeah.
And she was in it, and it was terrible.
what? She was in the game, or did they like make it into a movie?
No, they made it into a movie
Okay.
with Mark Wahlberg, and it was just
Really?
atrocious. Oh, it was atrocious. But
And then they did Ted together.
yeah. Yeah, she's working. We'll just say that. But so like I looked up that book. That looks awesome. I'm probably gonna end up reading it. So I love the idea. Well, and it's also what's always the joke, especially in like zombie video games. You don't have to reload a knife.
Yeah.
So like, man, could you imagine? Ugh. Anyway, sorry, I'll let you continue. That was
Yeah. Well, okay. So you bring up Mia Kunis, right?
Yeah.
So that's when her character is actually introduced. Is when Carnegie and everybody gets involved, and they grab Eli and they throw him in this room. And they're like, all right, we want to try and use him for something. Let's try and get him on our side. And so they send in this young girl. She's, I don't know, she's maybe supposed to be like 18 or something, 17,
Sure.
18 in this movie. And so they send her in to sleep with Eli. And that's the moment where I think you really get how different this guy is, because he's like, nope, I'm not going to do this.
good.
Like,
I'm focused. He's laser focused.
Yeah.
right. And that's kind of like the biggest, that's kind of like the last moral reveal, is you've seen him be a very moral person in this just extremely awful
But he's violent,
world.
but he's also violent. And it's like, what is his motivation for only unleashing that at certain
But it's like a restrained violence. You see him, it's always to defend himself or to help other people. Whereas the Marauders and stuff, I mean, there's that scene where the Marauders attack this couple and they kill them and they rape the woman and then they take all their stuff. And so you have this world where like everybody is selfish and taking, and then Eli is very restrained and he's giving away, and he's even saying like, nope, I'm not gonna sleep with this teenage girl. Even though it's already established, like every single man in that entire town would love to be in his shoes right now. And he's like, nope. And that's why I talk about show versus tell, is he could have sat down and we could have like a Denzel Washington, like Christian Hallmark movie speech about like sin and the world is so bad because of sin, but
or a flashback to why right. Like what was the specific thing that made him the, because like I love because he's like that character that nobody seems to be able to write, like this essentially overpowered man who has to do restraint. It's essentially the Superman complex or the Hulk complex. This
or the Captain Marvel complex.
Or the Captain Marvel. I don't know if that works because they essentially made her God in that movie. But with Eli, once you see what he's capable of, I love this idea of you wonder what his background was to why he's so flippin' skilled at what he does and why he has that restraint. Like you get to infer or speculate or all of that stuff throughout this whole film, knowing. So when he gets put in a situation where he holds back and it's like he could take it if he wanted to, what is his motivation not to do that? And it's so cool. Right. It's like, it's obviously something built into his character, but we don't know why yet. And it's just awesome. I just love it. It's so good. It's good character analysis. I love it.
And then it's cool in that scene, like instead of having sex with the probably underage girl, he offers her food and he sits down and he prays with her. And at first she's like, what is happening? Is this from a book? And she's like, shh, you know? Yeah. And he prays with her and you see how important that is. And I think that's kind of when it clicks, like, oh, I think I know what the book is. Because he's praying to God. And he doesn't even say God, he just says Lord. Right.
Did before the praying scene though, doesn't Oldman say it's a book with a cross on it? I think they might have revealed that a little
maybe because around this time you're like, I think I know what it is.
Because it seems pretty obvious at some point. And I told Hannah, I was like, it's really fun because I would really like to see this film remade for multiple places. Like, could you imagine like a version of this, but the book they're looking for is the Quran or something like that.
Right.
I like that idea that words are powerful and you just and you could use that metaphor for just about it. Well, I don't even know if it's a metaphor. It's almost a literal thing.
Right.
I love the idea that you could use that for multiple things, like literally just carbon copy it, put a different package on it for a specific society. And it just, I don't know, because I don't think it's inherently a bad message. I think it's a great message that anybody could get behind. It's just we just have the fight about which words are the right words is always the issue.
Right, definitely. And I saw the movie towards the end kind of wrestle with that a little bit, and that's where it was like the first 2/3 seemed very Christian because it's the Bible, right? The book is the Bible. And then towards the end, he makes some more generic comments about faith. And even at the end, you see they have different faiths on the shelf and stuff. So I don't know exactly the motivation for that. If they wrote it a certain way and then the studio was like, whoa, like, hey, like, let's give some broader appeal.
I would assume it's just because it's a Western culture film. Like it's a Western culture being written in Western culture, and that's just how we're. And especially, you know, like because it's like you said, even just Old West is a genre, which it's essentially all this is sci-fi, Wild Wild West version of stuff, in my opinion. Like
but the Denzel one, not the Will Smith Wild Wild West.
But you don't like the
Talk-
giant metal spiders? Come on, man.
Talk, dude. That was Joel Schumacher, wasn't it?
Yeah, because
Oh,
they were
man.
supposed to use the spider in the Superman movie, and he's like, you know
me-
what? Let's put it in this.
Let me tell you about a movie that I watched more than I should have. I had the soundtrack, which I adored. Will Smith riding in on a horse at the Video Music Awards for MTV, singing Wild Wild West. It was like, I was at the right age for that, and I'm still embarrassed to this day about it.
The song started out so perfect. It was like, ooh.
Well, you know, Wild Wild West, Jim West.
Wicked Wild Wild
You know,
West.
Wild Wild West, Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider. You know, you don't want none of this. Sorry, I totally.
Oh man,
It's
Oh,
okay.
Mike Shrews rapping Wild Wild West. Like my day is made. This is awesome.
Oh, so rough, man.
It- John, for that, since it was a Will Smith movie, at the end
Don't Gemini me,
no,
man.
I haven't even seen that. I want to see that though.
Okay,
I
okay.
heard it was horrible. Though.
It's getting good. It's getting good reviews
And
from audience,
It's mixed.
but
It's mixed.
which I refuse to believe it's that good because
But-
fucking David Benioff fucking wrote the damn thing.
But-
Dipshit from Game of Thrones. I hate them so much right now.
I would say the most like watched over thing on VHS, especially for me, for Will Smith, anyways, was at the end of Men in Black. They had the Men in Black music video right after it.
Yeah.
Dude, I had like one of those big old box TVs that, sat on the floor and stuff still. That I paused the movie when they showed like the alien ID, and I took a picture with a Polaroid, and I was like walking around pretending it was like a real freaking ID.
You sound like the oldest person in the universe. I watched it on VHS and I took a picture of the screen with a Polaroid. Like
Hey,
half the world's gonna be
are
like,
coming
what?
back. Polaroids have come back. They
right.
Fair enough, fair
They
enough.
sell those cameras.
Fair enough. God, a tangent window. Isaac, just hold on to your stuff, man. Just we're coming back.
Okay.
Because he said Men in Black, I cannot help bringing this up all the time because I'm just
God.
always going to assume we're getting a new listener every cast. I gotta tell you, and I hope you guys have one. If you don't worry. I just have to say this to everyone. The funniest scene I've ever seen in a film, or at least up there, in one of the worst movies ever, has to be Men in Black 2, when Will Smith is stuck in all those stupid pipes at the end of the movie, and he's got to like get to a countdown button, and he's just in a pile of pipes going, and he can't get
He's
out.
like trying to do the backwards worm to get out and stuff.
Dude, it was so dumb, but it just makes me laugh every time. It's so dumb.
I got a little bit thing for you, John. This
What?
made me laugh and made me think of you. I was listening to one of the Fat Man Beyond podcasts that Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin do. And they had the guy on there that did he's done like I forget his name, but he's done so many visual effects like makeup and stuff like that. Okay. He worked on the first 3 Men in Black movies. He created that little dude that was inside the head too. Like
Okay, in the morgue.
Yeah, in the morgue. So he worked on those 3, and they asked him, "Did you work on International?" And he's like, "Oh God, no, thank God."
Yes.
I was just like laughing my ass off when I heard that. I was like, that sounds like something John would say.
I definitely want to go back and see 3 because I've heard good things, and it's Josh Brolin playing Tommy Lee Jones. Essentially,
3 is
and I'm
good.
like,
Yeah.
that's what I've heard. I heard it's
Yeah.
so back to form because the first
Yeah.
one is like, I didn't realize how much I love and adore the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one is like peak sci-fi film, like, and not only that, but like peak sci-fi 90s film.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know how Will Smith did it twice. Don't get me wrong, Independence Day has a lot of tismy writing in it, and it's a little stupid, but it is, God, that is Hallmark blockbuster. I would argue between Terminator 2, Jurassic Park, and Independence Day, that's what made blockbuster.
Yeah.
People are like, well, Jaws, obviously that set the standard, but
And the fact that there
I'm talking
wasn't
90s.
as much CG in those movies as we get now in like the Independence Day sequel or
But those
every
but I
Jurassic
would,
Park sequel.
I'd argue that's fight of the times though, because I mean, think about
But
it.
it
You
just
know, blowing up models and stuff.
Yeah.
But that is good though. Trust me, I'm always about practical. But man, that first Men in Black movie is so good. And then I watched International, and it's just you watch a studio just dump on something, not knowing what their source material was, and just so disrespectful to what was. I mean, literally, I pulled up Hannah. I go, Tommy Lee Jones has a monologue on a park bench with Will Smith that might be one of the most poignant things in a film.
Yeah.
And it's packaged in this goofy ass like sci-fi thing. And it's like the people are, a person is smart, but people are dumb, panicky animals, and you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on top of the imagine what you'll know tomorrow, like, you know, 100 years ago or whatever, we knew the earth revolved, or the sun revolved around the earth, and oh man, it's so poignant, and it's still poignant now, and that's what, like 20 years later.
Yeah.
It's just
that was 96, so
yeah.
I mean, man,
that's the power of science fiction, man.
Well,
Asking the right questions.
Well, and the power of good writing. It's just like you put it in a package that'll make it accessible.
We never talked about International, did we?
Just other than my like 4-minute rant.
Because I watched it. Dude, they retconned so much crap in there.
Oh yeah,
so
dude, I turned it off after 16 minutes. Well, we could talk about that one later, because if that's one of those movies that I decided I'll probably go back and finish, just because if I'm gonna shit on it, most likely the rest of my life.
But I mean, you didn't watch Captain Marvel, so you shit on that your whole life.
I would argue it's because I don't need to.
I think you're gonna go when time travel is possible. You're gonna go back in time and tell your younger self, start shitting on this movie now.
It'll don't worry. The timeline, Johnny. The timeline. It'll be preemptive. As soon as you see the first trailer, just tell everyone to boycott it.
And be like, when you grow up, and you be like, I don't have to see it. My older self told me it's shit.
It was yeah, but see, I would make the argument though that I've seen the film based on
all the videos and shit on YouTube.
I would literally tell people I've watched probably 10 hours worth of analysis, breaking the film down almost scene by scene versus seeing the film, which one is way more cathartic anyway. Because there's no purpose to watch that film. People would go, yeah, there is. I'm like, no, there are zero repercussions from that stupid film. And except that she retcons everything.
The only thing really of value is they introduce scrolls, but then they do that later anyways, so it doesn't really matter.
Stop it. Stop taking me back down MCU. Stop it. Isaac, save me. Bring me back. Where were we? Where were we?
We're talking about a movie. Oh, yeah. We're talking about show versus tell, right?
Yes.
Show versus tell.
We are at the scene with Mila Kunis praying with Denzel Washington over dinner, and it's the first time she's seen this. She doesn't even know what this is. Praying?
Right.
What? This makes no sense.
Right, yeah. And then that leads to the next morning, her character goes out and actually prays with her mom, and Gary Oldman sees that, and he's like, where did you learn to do that? And she's like, I don't know, this guy. And then Gary Oldman starts figuring out, did he have a book? And so that's when he connects it, and you put it all together. It's like, okay, Eli, the book he's carrying that's so important, he's carrying a Bible, and Gary Oldman is looking for a Bible. And this is why, like, I watched it the first time when it came out, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then the second time, I just really appreciated how clever it was. They actually don't even use the word Bible until the very end of the movie. And so it's just the book. And John, that's the cross that you're talking about. He's like, what does the book look like? And he's gonna read.
Okay.
And she's like, it's got a symbol, and she makes a cross with their fingers.
Yep.
Yeah, and so it's really tight how you're putting this together as an audience member about why. Okay, we get the idea that books are important and people don't really read, but it does give Gary Oldman power. If you can, it gives you power. And then you have this specific book that has extra power that Carnegie wants to use because he says it's been done in the past.
Well, see, and that was the thing. I was about to make the argument. It's like, it's the idea once you've established what he's looking for, you're not only talking about just the idea of how powerful words are, you're talking about a literal thing that already proved it could manipulate, or sorry to use that word, but you know, but to create a hysteria or a following, and has that power and that capability. I mean, it makes it so much. It makes the thing that you're coveting so much heavier in a metaphorical sense. It's just like, or in a figurative sense. It's just like, oh, the importance it turned from a book to essentially might as well be a gold freaking brick in the eyes of somebody who needs money or whatever.
Yeah.
I love
it. Now in the movie, because I don't remember the ending. Like I remember what happens, but specifics. Do they actually say Bible, or didn't they just show the front of it and then you see that it's a Bible?
They do say it.
Do they? Okay.
Because so what happens is
I think Malcolm McDowell's character says to put it specifically somewhere, I thought.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I just watched it a couple days ago. Yeah. So basically, Eli gets shot. Carnegie takes the book from him and goes back to his town. And then Eli and Mila Kunis's character, they get to the like last bastion of culture or whatever on Alcatraz Island, where they print books and stuff, right? And so when Eli gets there, he says, "I'm in possession of a King James Bible."
Yeah.
And then that's when the girl looks at him like, "We lost the book. What are you talking about?" And then he goes in and he has memorized it. And so then at the end, it does show like it has Holy Bible on it, King James Version. And then it says like Alcatraz edition or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Because aren't they already? Isn't that even where the thingy is? That island or whatever? Was it on an island?
The prison?
Yeah, it was the island of Alcatraz in San Francisco. Yeah.
I was trying to think. Crap, I lost it. Oh, because you just called her Mila Kunis. It was so funny to me. This really stood out to me in the film. This is just me nitpicking a moment that kind of just bugs the shit out of me. I think it's half the reason why I don't like Mila Kunis's character in this film at all. Because other than just showing that he wants to protect someone, she really doesn't serve really any relevance in this film. Why is her name Solara? Like, you have Eli, and I get Carnegie's up there, but like Carnegie doesn't seem that strange, and it's like Carnegie Hall was a thing, so like him being up there, like a prestigious title type thing makes sense to me, or like a surname. Just Solara was just such a try at a sci-fi apocalyptic name, and it just annoyed the shit out of me.
Maybe because she's like the youngest main character, and they were just like coming up. I guess
maybe because you're naming for that, but she's in a society with a guy who's leading it, and he's like married, or not married, but he's like enslaved the mom.
Yeah,
and she's the daughter of the mom, and he would probably choose her name or change it or do whatever. It's like, I know it'd be heavy-handed, but why not do something more like Mary, or like
because I'm looking at
that might be too on the nose, but you know what I mean. Like
I'm looking at the list,
or
of
make
names,
her name like
dude,
Genesis.
They're all
like,
basic,
or like name her like Genesis, or like
I
don't know. I know it'd be a little heavy-handed, but like, oh my lord, Solara just bugs me every time. It bums me out. Anyway, I'm sorry. It's such a nitpick to that film, but it's like, it's one of those things that like I praise this one so much. I need people to know that just because you like something doesn't mean it's perfect.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So anyway, you were talking about like manipulation and stuff, and I think that was a really cool part of it. Is it showed like, look, religion can be used for really bad things, and it does not apologize for that. It does not skirt around that. That's the villain's main motivation. And you see that contrast, right? And you don't have a big, long dialogue where they're fighting about it. You just see Carnegie talking about this has power. This is the power to motivate people, to bring people together, and then I can control them. And then you see Denzel Washington's character, and he has internalized it. I mean, he's literally internalized it. He's memorized it, but he's not talking about why it's important. He's not talking about like morals or anything like that. He's simply just living it out.
Right. He's not going out
that's
and
such an
trying to get
awesome
like a
concept.
following or anything
Yeah.
like that. He's just on himself.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see the difference it makes. Like, and this is getting into the Bible part a
This
little
is
bit.
what I
So-
wanted. So yeah,
right.
let's
So,
go.
I mean, in the Old Testament, because he hardly quotes any Bible verses at all. He quotes Psalms. And that's the famous, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Like every movie uses that, right? In Psalms, you have this idea of the righteous man and the wicked man. And it's the righteous man lives a certain way. He protects the innocent. He doesn't just jump into fights. You know, he's generous. He doesn't steal. He doesn't lie. So a lot of these, just this picture of like the righteous man is a good person, and this is what it looks like. And then you have the wicked man, who is selfish, who does jump into fights, who does get drunk, who does like, you know, there's all these things. And so you don't have Eli giving a speech about this. You just see it happen. You see the Marauders as the wicked guys.
Well, and he even lets one of them go. Like
Yeah.
he attacks it, and it's like he does what he needs to do out of necessity, and I like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He tries to stop the fight. He like breaks the one guy's nose, and then he's like, "All right, I'm gonna leave. Just calm down."
He
and I
takes the
really-
dude's arm, and he's still trying to go. All right, guys, are we really doing this?
Yeah.
I love that scene.
Yeah. And so I think it was cool because I saw this when it came out. Was that like 2010? And that was like before I went to seminary or anything. Now I'm watching it after going through seminary, studying the Bible a lot more, being a pastor and stuff. And so I'm like seeing more layers of this film. And I just thought that's like really cool that they essentially took this concept from the Bible of these two different characters, like the righteous man and the foolish man or the wicked man, and never used those words at all in the movie, but just allowed that to play out. And like, here is the righteous man. Without using the word righteous man, here he is. He's good. He's not selfish. He's protecting other people. He has this mission. And here's this world just full of completely selfish people.
And I'll give you just to let everybody know if they're curious. It's a 2010, so it's actually not even that far. It's essentially just about 10 years old. So
Yeah.
no, and it's just it's neat because again with the whole show don't tell stuff, and then like you get the reveals. It's like that's why I always love the show don't tell, because when you show stuff and then you get the reveal at the end, you can go back to something 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and you already know the twist. So now you get to start from the beginning with the twist in your head and new personal experience, new personal knowledge that you get to take from it. And the best part is those things were written in a specific time, and then to see, it's a really cool society observation for you. Like, people can go back and look at some. It's like, why the hell is something 10 years ago? So I could take almost everything from here and still focus it on things that are happening right now.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh yeah.
you can do that with so many movies, but the fact that this one has religion tied into it, so, I mean, it's essentially the driving force.
Yeah.
It's so strange because that's not going anywhere. It does not
Right.
matter. People, you know, I'm saying, and for people who are going to the internet, it's like, I don't care which one you follow. If one dissolves, it does. There will always be some type of ideology because people need guide. People thrive for guidance. Not everybody, but masses need guidance. I mean, you could make the argument that politics is for the people who prefer not religion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People will look to a political party for their guidance versus a book or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But,
So
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say, because I just looked this up real quick. The person who wrote this actually wrote the Rogue One movie.
oh,
really?
So yeah, and then they wrote
Surprisingly, the only good Star Wars one
Yeah.
out of the Disney.
And apparently they're the writers on the Walking Dead video game, and then they wrote
the Telltale one.
it says The Walking Dead final season and Walking Dead season 2, so I'm guessing the Telltale.
Hey, I love those games.
And
Sweet.
then
I love Telltale games. Those are great.
But then they also wrote After Earth, the one that Will Smith did with his son. I don't remember that one very well, so
To be fair, M. Night Shyamalan had a lot to do with that
Did he?
too. So,
Okay.
and that was during his
well, it looks
peak.
like
I'm not that
she
great.
originally wrote sorry. I don't know why I thought that was a girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like that. Okay.
He originally wrote the main screenplay, so then M. Night Shyamalan probably went back through and was like, we're gonna change this. Oh, we need a twist at the end and this and
Movie was terrible.
Yeah.
but yeah.
So I mean, I'm like honestly interested what a response would be like if Book of Eli came out in 2019.
Oh God, that's not getting written,
Right.
dude. It's not getting written.
Because I mean, you think about this idea in our pop culture right now, religion is not a cool thing to be part
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of post-apocalyptic is we take certain things in society for granted, and what if they were gone?
Mhm.
And I think Book of Eli gets into that. It's like, okay, it recognizes religion does lead to a lot of bad things. There's violence, there's wars that have happened because of these warring ideologies and a lot of hatred that can come out of it. But what if this was completely gone?
Mhm.
Like, is that a world you'd actually want to live in?
Well, because then the immediate question to that, right, would be once religion's gone, what do we replace it with? Because that is human nature.
Right.
So, do we replace it? Do we go full blown? Everybody who's reading politics now. Do we move? Do we find a new ideology? I'm not kidding, and this is so not for the meme, but I think it would be poignant. People would take up something like the Jedi culture, something that already had 30 years behind it with teachings and ideas that had already a strong following. And it's like people make those ideas, but they're like, oh, that's fucking silly. And I'd go, okay, tell me that again when you go to high school and we read about Greek and Roman mythology and laugh at silly stories, even though it did create wars for eons,
feel I've seen somewhere online, it was a couple of years ago, that there was like a Jedi church or something.
Oh, there
somebody
is.
started. Okay.
No, there absolutely is.
Okay.
And I believe they're actually even official now.
Right.
Like that whole thing, they're recognized. The whole deal is though that it's another one of those things where it's like you got to take the good with the bad. There is no good without bad, and I know that's a super hyperbolic statement, but like I said. I think I said it. I was kind of talking out of my ass, which I always do and always will.
We both do.
And I think it was almost literally last week. I said, humans need a scale. If you can't figure out what black and white is, quote unquote, how do you know the difference? And people are like, oh, you inherently. No, everybody knows that you inherently come in to the world, essentially just going off your primal instincts. You go for what? Instant gratification, and then you have to use your cognitive abilities to decipher, but without a baseline, how do you do that? And so like the idea is if we removed murder, if just somehow we ended up in a Minority Report and murder did not exist anymore,
Right.
then what do we replace that as the next bad thing? Stealing? Arson? Is that the new thing? That, what would get you the death penalty 50 years from now if murder, rape, and theft weren't a thing? Okay, writing something 1984 style.
Right.
You know what I mean? It is something to think about. And again, this is why I've never been a proponent ever that religion is inherently bad, and I don't think there's ever going to be an inherently right religion to follow. I think the whole thing is that I think people pervert things, and that's the issue, and we allow that to happen and almost
Not only that
naturally move that way.
Not only that they pervert things, that there's some people that just want that power and control that they
Yeah.
use it in a way that makes them almost like a god figure to the people that they're teaching it to.
Well, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the idea of if somebody else, regardless of whether or not people believe that Jesus was real or anything like that, people aspire to that. I mean,
Right.
what do you think a CEO is or a president is? It's a man who aspires to be in control, to have the things he says held to a higher standard or like of a higher importance than most people. But the thing is once you get there, what character do you have? You know, who are you? What are you going to do with that? And that's the scary part, is that nobody can predict. And people change too. That's even the worst part. Like maybe somebody got there and they were righteous and great, but then something horrible happens and it flips flips the thing.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Or you could be like Rohan and Worm Tongue gets in his ear and you know, he was a good man.
Lord of the Rings.
Yay! Oh yeah, that's two. Or no, wait. King
That's
Theoden.
2 towers.
Yeah, it's 2 towers. So Mike, you don't know what we're talking about yet.
Right over my head.
Fucking get good, scrub. Get on our level.
But
I actually
John,
bought those on Blu-ray too now, so I can.
Yeah, I
watch
know
them.
you did, you bastard. He fucking because obviously you'll love that, Isaac, if you're starting to go through the old catalog. Let me tell you, it doesn't. I'm pretty shit at this until probably about episode 20. But I finally berated him enough to get into watching Fellowship, and then
I listened to your podcast on that. It was good.
Berated? You mean cried to me in a text message? Don't please.
every day. Well, because you're telling me it's like, oh man, I watched Tusk again for the 5th time, and it's like, god damn it, like, come on, man. And then he would post the picture going like, I bought it. I'm like, cool. Why, to look at it? Like to just
For
stare
what-
at the
which one?
cases?
Well, Lord
Two
of the
Towers
Rings,
and Return of the King.
I had all 3 of them on DVD for years. Then I sold them, and then I got a whole nother set for free that I've had for years. And then I watched the first one after you berated me so damn much. And then I went out and bought all 3 of them on Blu-ray for like, what, $10 or something?
So you've owned the trilogy 3 different times and have yet to finish it. You're a bad man.
Not to mention my parents have like almost every iteration of the box set.
I don't understand how you could watch the first one and not immediately turn on the second one. I am so butthurt about this.
I had to watch
turn them
Batman
on
v
every
Superman
year.
again, dude.
I hate you. I hate you so much for that. That might be the most. God, that's so anti John Hammond fucking rhetoric right there. I couldn't turn on 2 Towers, but Batman v Superman for the 5th time because Zack Snyder's a fucking, oh my god.
Oh man.
Dude, I gave my kids a choice the other day of watching a Batman movie or a Superman movie because we have like all the original stuff. And I was like, just pick one, you know. One wanted to watch Batman, one wanted to watch Superman. I was like, fine, we're watching Batman v Superman. They like both like yelled at me. They didn't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the greatest thing. You're like, hey, we have all these good Superman movies and all these good Batman movies to choose from. Hey, let's pick the worst iteration of both characters that happen to be in the same movie. Let's just kill all the birds with all the stones. Anyway, sorry, Isaac. Fuck. My soul. Anytime.
That's what this show is for, man.
That's right.
Just
Yeah,
beating
if you
me
ever
down.
want to talk about Batman v Superman, you can have me come back.
Hell yes.
Because like, I have an entire shelf that is that's DC Comics, and one shelf is all Superman, and one is all Batman, and then one is all Justice League.
Like actual comics or the movies?
Actual comics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fucking nerd.
So
Nerd. So, okay, well then, just for the sake of it, before we go back in the original, because then we'll have everybody hate or like you, and then hopefully we'll get you back on. Batman v Superman, where do you fall? Because you're number 3 on this. You're the tiebreaker here.
I did not like it.
Yeah, suck it, Michael.
While I was watching it, I enjoyed it. I was like getting into it. And then by the time I got to the parking lot after the movie, I was like, nope.
See, there's
No.
this nice thing though with society now that you guys are straight white guys and no one actually cares.
Damn. Damn it. Damn it!
Really?
Damn it!
I mean, I'm straight too, so no one cares what I think. So
Right.
Again, to be determined.
So I will say one thing, and then we can move on. So if you're curious, my issue with Zack Snyder and the superhero movies is I feel like he goes in and he cuts out like the best parts of certain comics and lines them up, and then it's like we hit fast forward, and so you're hitting all these awesome plot points, but there's not really any time to feel the character motivation. It's just like a lot of stuff happening.
I will fucking, oh yes, perfect example of that is the moment in the movie where the kryptonite has been taken by fucking Lex Luthor. He's got it, or Jesse Eisenjoker, and he takes it back to his thing, and they're like, there's this big thing like Batman's trying to get it from the trucks, and he like blows up all these people and does non-Batman stuff. Doesn't even succeed in his mission. Then the thing we'd actually like to see is Batman swooping down off a monitor, and he steals everything, and there's a batarang in the thing. It's like Batman like dropping down from the ceiling and like picking people up and doing creepy shit was what we wanted. And you're like, no, he broke into his high stakes like lab, high security place, took the thing we needed. And cut to the next scene. What?
You mean you basically wanted to see like the fight scene from Kick-Ass where Bat Dad or whatever his name is.
No, because I didn't really like Kick-Ass either, but
That
screw
scene was
you,
great.
man.
That
was
amazing.
great. That was
When
like
he's
what the Batman scene would have looked like if he
when he was running in with the shotgun and like going down the
besides the shotgun, because Batman, doesn't use a shotgun.
Yeah. No, but that's what Batwoman should have been. Sorry. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Okay, anyway. Oh, God, we went from that. So we're going to go all the way back
I will
to
say this, though. Like, even though I like Batman v Superman, and I can tolerate Man of Steel, sometimes I think I just turn them on and annoy my wife because she hates watching it. But I will say, after you watch Man of Steel, go back and watch Superman Returns. It makes that movie so much better.
Yes.
It makes Superman Returns better. That's what I mean.
Oh,
with Brandon Ruth?
My whole argument with Brandon, the Brandon Ruth one, is if we just never got levity. All the artsy shit made nothing to me because we didn't get the fun, quirky Clark Kent shit.
You didn't get a lot
and
of Clark
Brandon
Kent
Ruth,
at all.
And Brandon Ruth, I'm sorry, after seeing him as Ray fucking Palmer in the Arrowverse, he would have been the best Clark Kent. He would have been better than Christopher Reeves if you had given him a chance. Fucking fight me. I don't care.
There's a rumor that because Adam is leaving, Ray Palmer's leaving DC Legends, that they might do a spin-off Superman show with him.
I don't see that. I mean, if you'd be lucky, maybe they'd do something on the DC app, but I don't think.
I don't care where they do it. I would love to see it.
I just don't see him doing it because the Tyler guy on Supergirl is getting some traction. People like him.
Yeah.
I like him at least. I think him and Bitsy Tillock, who's playing Lois Lane right now.
But getting to see a Kingdom Come TV show of Superman, whether it's on the DC app or not, hell yeah.
See, if they did that with, like, if he hits off strong with this and they just give him like a little, like, 6 or not even like a 4 episode series to finish out a Kingdom Come, I'd be fucking all about it, dude.
And not only
all
that,
about it.
John, spoilers, they wouldn't even have to cast a Lois Lane because she's already dead.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, don't worry, you spoiled pretty much everything, so I'm good. And I don't care. I'm always one of those people, like, unless it's like a major spoiler, like essentially if we were watching Book of Eli and somebody told me, oh, he's blind the whole time, it's like, fuck. Right at the beginning, why? But most of the time with certain spoilers in a movie, I so don't care. If the movie is doing it well enough, I'm so in the moment. It does not register with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At most, I'll be going, I'm looking for the twist, so now I'm already basing the movie on a technical level. Then it's actually, if anything, my brain's enjoying the movie more because I'm so engaged. Like, I know the twist, so did they earn it or did they just do it for the sake of doing it?
I want to read this review, like the tag review from Rotten Tomatoes for Book of Eli.
Okay.
Just because it gave me a little smile, but then I was like, it's not that funny. From Paul Burns on Rotten Tomatoes, which we don't like Rotten Tomatoes here, by the way.
I don't think anybody does at this point.
It says, "At last, an action movie even the Pope can love."
Can we put that on the box art?
That is funny. That is funny. Yeah, I mean, John, it's funny. Like, you bring up the twist with him being blind.
Yeah.
And watching it a second time, I actually, that was almost like an extra thing to me. Like, it wasn't actually needed. I thought it was solid without it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add that in, and it's like, oh man, it's so good.
Well,
and they earn it. You see all these scenes. There's all these times where I'm like, how did he know to look over and that there was a car there? How did he know to open the closet? But there's sound effects of wind, like blowing the car door.
Mm-hmm.
He smells something, and so he opens the closet, and there's
it's the apocalypse. You don't think about it. All the noise. I lived in Florida for like 5 years, and then I moved back to Iowa and Minnesota. Now Minnesota's a little bit louder, but man, you go to a smaller town, you go out into the outskirts, and it's almost creepy how silent it is, and then imagine having your other senses heightened to like smell things or hear things or do. And then the guy's been doing it for so long, and I can't remember. Did he lost his sight in The Flash though? Right?
It implies that, but it never says specifically.
Which might have made it a little worse. I would have preferred maybe if he had it since birth, so it would have made a little more sense. But it also could play to his character with the idea that like he dealt with loss in a good way, and this maybe helped or something. Oh yeah, man. It's just like, because you think about that not only, but then it's like, oh, like he's doing the Braille thing, so that's another skill he has. And then on top of the fact that he memorized it, it wasn't even like, because let's be fair, most people who actually, like, I'm sure you probably could recite a lot of that book if somebody asked, or at least like, if they gave you the psalm or section or whatever, you could probably go, oh yeah, that's whatever number. I just love the idea that it just it's just another trait of him. It's just like his conviction to learn it. Even though I have the physical book, I know I need to know it, and it's important. And then the fact that he doesn't have it, oh my god! And just like you already get the reveal that he's blind, which is fucking cool, and it's like immediately recontextualizes the whole movie. And now it's like in a split second, as a viewer, you're like, oh my god, I'm going through the whole movie, and like it's like having it's like death, like your life flashes before your eyes moment. It's like, oh my god, there's everything. And then you get another reveal that the book was Braille. Like, it was the best. It was so awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Well, John, I know you're thinking very highly of my ability to memorize stuff. I do not have a ton memorized, but I do think it was cool, kind of like a historical perspective. That's what a lot of people did in order to, like back in Jesus' day and stuff, in order to be a teacher, you had to have the first 5 books of the Bible memorized in order to even make your own comments about it. And so that's how, again, it goes back to the pop culture. Today, it's like books, whatever, like religion, whatever. All these people think it's stupid and stuff. Like, but imagine a world without the internet where you can't just go grab a book. People had reverence for it, and they did memorize this, like entire books, and could recite it, and people gave a lot of respect to that. And so, and you were talking earlier about like making up religion and stuff, and I liked how this movie showed too, like there is something in the power of words, and even in the power of scripture. You talk about different faiths have different scriptures, but the power of scripture, and Gary Oldman he kind of recognizes, I could not make something up that's powerful. Right?
Yeah.
I need it. And you see the hope that it gives. Like when Eli starts quoting things or he's praying, like you see the hope that it gives Mia Kunis, you see, and her mom, and those things. And like you see it means something really important to them.
See, and I want to piggyback on two things because of that. Is the idea that like, okay, so now we have one, let's put stock back in writers. That's my biggest thing. It's like, oh, I don't want to read the books and blah blah blah. And that's fine. You don't have to. We have audiobooks. You can use the technology we have. That is fine. But where do you think that comes from? And that's the disconnect people have. It's like these comic book movies are insane. It's just like we need to alter them and change them. You mean the thing that survived 30 years and they weren't even part of pop culture for those runs and they're still important. And then it's like we just shit on the source material. We shit on the people who made them popular, like that got us here, and you don't put stock in it. And then you see people half-ass it and just go, no, but it's because it's called a comic book. Those people will just read it, right? It's like, no, that's not how this works. Some people would go because of the artist. Some people would go because of the writer. Some people would go because of the name. Some people literally just go because it says Marvel. There are those people, but the reason why certain things gravitate and stand the test of time is because it's good. It's end of discussion. Like people can relate to it regardless of what the package is. And
we're still doing Shakespeare for a reason.
Thank you. Yes. I would say that's why people. It was what I said. God, it was when I lost my mind on our Endgame stuff, or like when I talk about Star Wars. It's like Star Wars is 30 years later, and why do you think that movie's being rebooted right now? People go because of the prequels. It's like no, that's not why. It's because there's still enough love from the originals that you let the prequels pass. Because it didn't. Yeah. Midichlorians hurt, but that wasn't too bad. We could deal with it. And then the sequels come out, and it's like we never even saw Han, Luke, and Leia in the same room together 30 years later.
Right.
And it goes, if that does not prove how disrespectful this is, that people just don't get it, it's insane.
That should have been right in that very first movie. Like, period.
Shit, it could have been the first fucking scene for all I care. At least the fact that it didn't even happen is egregious. It's just insanity. But
I think Star Wars is a perfect example of what you're talking about because George Lucas intentionally based it on myth. There's that
the original
book,
hero's journey.
Right. Hero with 1,000 Faces, right? And you have Luke who starts out as a certain way and he moves through all these beats and then he doesn't just like, I'm the most powerful warrior, I win in the end. He actually makes this very like redemptive, self-sacrificing action at the end. So like that's why it's so amazing. That's why it's still significant is it's telling something timeless.
But in a package that's accessible.
And there's so many source materials for Star Wars too, like where he grabbed all of his stuff from for the original 3 anyways.
Well, yeah, and it gives you that opportunity to go, these things inspired me to make the story I made. And then those people would go, well, I want to know what inspired him because he inspired me. So it's like, I want to go watch Flash, what the fuck? I always mix up Flash Thompson and Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon, thank you. Flash Thompson's fucking Spider-Man. They use that song in Flash, by the way, on CW's Flash. Anyway, but like, you know, like I said, Iliad.
It's
Beowulf,
also in Ted.
there you go. Odyssey, like all that stuff. It's like, there's a reason why we still talk about it. And then it's like, now you have the new ones come out and it's like, people couldn't even remember half the people's names in this film if you wanted to. Like
Honestly, we were talking about the one of the new ones when we did our diversity podcast. And I didn't even remember some of the characters' names.
Yeah, and it's insane, and it, you know, and we're
not memorable.
Well, I mean, we're also in a society now where nobody's hyped for Star Wars. Like, how did that happen? Like, you can't even believe it. Nobody. Are you kidding me?
You still have your hardcore guys that are just like whatever.
Yeah, that's not hardcore. That's so different.
Okay, not like
a
whatever.
Hardcore person going
guy
whatever.
Is like, you know, he's down for whatever they're doing because
a
it's
passionate
Star
man
Wars.
who's like meh. Yeah, but that's not the person that you're gonna sell to toys 20 years from now. That guy's gonna watch this movie and go, nah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then 5 years from now, they're gonna go, wait, what?
Well, as soon as they get away from the Skywalker family, those guys are gonna be out. the people that have been there just because they want to see this story finally come to an end with these characters.
That's insane. No, the EU books existed, and when they decanonized that drove people insane. You had the Clone Wars were still a popular cartoon. You had no, there's a following, trust me. Yeah, the Skywalkers are strong in it, but there's people care about the Mandalorians. Are you kidding me? It's not just Skywalker. That nonsense needs to die. If this sequel trilogy would have had nothing to do with them, they'd have been fine. Nobody would have cared. Fucking Rogue One.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darth Vader shows up a couple of times, but you're not sitting on Han Solo characters and all they are just repurposed versions of them. That's all.
Yeah, I think the main problem is you guys have talked about some of the like Rey's not earning it, like you said, and some of the Force Divorce
all the classic.
Where it's like, yeah, we want to have an awesome chick, so we'll just throw her in and she's all awesome already. She has no journey, right?
Yeah.
But they're also changing the nature of what the Force is, and even the Clone Wars cartoons was messing with that, and I really don't like it.
It removes the mysticism. That's what midichlorians did, and that was really annoying because it was always this mystic thing.
Right.
There's thing I saw for Star Wars, something about like that's coming after the next movie that they're going to be doing about how they created the midichlorians and all that crap in the prequels. Well, now I'm guessing they're gonna create something where people can manufacture the Force to be within them or some bullcrap.
Shut up! Don't do that to me.
That's what I've heard, man.
Whoa.
I know, but really at this point they already killed it. Last Jedi destroyed everything.
Just wait until they do the crossover of Marvel and Star Wars.
No, unless
Guardians of the Galaxy right in there.
It's the one thing I don't want to happen is the one thing that has to happen. You have to do time travel in this third movie and completely decanonize.
I'm tired of the time travel
But
bullshit.
you have to decanonize Last Jedi. Last Jedi completely destroyed this world. It just destroyed it.
You think that's how they bring Luke back?
I don't even care. Keep him dead. Do something. I don't know, but you can't have, because Last Jedi not only just shits on your characters, it broke physics of that world, like the hyperspace jump and a lot of the fight. It's just it was bad. It was just so fucking bad.
I think the primary issue going on with their kind of good versus evil and the Force thing, and this is kind of an issue with superhero movies, some too, is you have this idea, they introduce this idea, well, the world needs balance, right? And there's gray. And sometimes the heroes aren't as good as you think they are. Sometimes the heroes try to do something good and something bad happens, right? Like Civil War and stuff like that, right? And then and sometimes the bad guys have good motivations, right? Or they're not all bad. There's reasons that they're bad. So you need a balance of light and dark. And I'm like, okay, you need a balance of light and dark. But on their worst day, the light side is like some Jedi who are a little bit out of touch, like they're a little too passive, or maybe they don't get involved soon enough.
Or they're like monks, and it's like, I can't get behind celibacy, or your idea of like suppressing all your emotions just seems detrimental to the human condition or alien condition.
So you're like, okay, there's some issues there. I see what you're doing. Then you go over to dark side, and it's like, we're gonna murder and enslave an entire race, and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay, so like Yoda's a little too passive. So in order to balance him out, let's bring in this like genocidal maniac. Balance the Force.
And it's funny you say that. One of the first arguments I'd always heard was really funny because they wanted Luke to still seem poignant as this guy who's like, well, the Jedis aren't quite as good as you think. And Rey's sitting there, and like Rey is so fucking just reactionary to everything. This story could probably proceed without her even in it. You could have just sent Chewie on the Falcon and it would have been fine. And people are like, oh, but Luke's right though. It's like the Jedi aren't all great. Okay, I get that. That's fine. Luke, I get it. Your side's not great. But they just blew up 5 planets. Can we just maybe take care of that, and then we can get into the fucking poetry of what you're trying to say? I get it. You're not great. Could really use you though. Just saying. This guy's gonna murder a lot of people, which he already has, and you're just like, nah.
you run into that same problem with like Black Panther, something like that too,
God, what a
where it's like, okay, did Black Panther's dad make some mistakes? Yes, absolutely. Did Black Panther maybe make some mistakes? Yeah, sure. That's a great debate. However, Killmonger is just gonna go like murder a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
He literally says women and children too. I was like, that was when you killed him. Everybody's like, oh, he's so sympathetic. I'm like, no, not anymore. No, he's not.
Well,
he needs he needs a standard. If you don't have a line, like some kind of code, you're gone. You just either you don't get it both ways. You don't get to have him have this somber and like bury me in the oceans with my ancestors. You're from Oakland, bruh. Chill out. I just
well, we all know, right? The main hero in the Marvel universe was Thanos in Infinity War. He solved every problem, and then these fuckers come back in Endgame and just like slaughter him, and then change and reverse everything back. And not only do they bring everybody back, but how many lives did they ruin by bringing all those people back? It's been 5 years.
That argument's hilarious.
Dudes got, people got remarried. So wait, are they married to two people now? People's, their whole financial system's going to be screwed because all these people come back with no money left.
Well, we had to go back in
Social
time to get the
Security
stones.
cards.
We couldn't go back in time before the snap. You know what I mean? So stupid. That fucking movie's dumb.
Their time travel rules explain that, John. Come on.
Or you could say Grand Moff Tarkin, like, he fixed all the trade disputes on Alderaan. Just instantly. I just like, no, but
Don't worry,
okay.
and in the new Star Wars movie, they're going to go back in time, and they're going to just kill Anakin right away, so nothing happens.
This is the problem with a lot of movies. God damn it. Son of a
Myke,
bitch.
that was awesome.
I would pat you on the back through the internet if I could. God damn it. That was funny. My biggest problem is I was telling Hannah this lately, is like the lackadaisical universe building and the way things are being written. It's like characters are being written as if they're watching the movie too. It's insane. It's like everybody understands what a redemption arc is, or like being able to redeem. It's like, yeah, well, Darth Vader got redeemed after all the horrible things he did and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, well, yeah, but he still died. And on top of that, like, it was like the last moment to do that. It was like, we also didn't like see him do all of that. We only saw him like choke out that one dude, and he killed Obi-Wan, I think, were like the two big kills.
You didn't really kill Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan just like went into the Force.
Yeah, fucking like Thanos snapped himself, and then he didn't feel so good, and then. But, like, you have Kylo who, like, your introduction is he fucking mows down an old dude who, like, knew his lineage, who also knew the map and stuff. Like, why did you torture him? Who gives a shit about Poe? Anyway, you move on, and then he kills his own father, which you're like, that's the moment where you go, okay, we're done. His arc is gone. He's baddie. We move to the next movie, and we're like, oh, no, he can still be redeemed.
No.
It's like, wait. No. What? Okay, movie, you're telling me we can be redeemed. That's fine. We're going to keep going.
We're going to redeem somebody who killed someone we had for 3 other movies completely through. Yeah. And we're just not going to let the Wookiee freaking rip his arms off? Come on.
Fucking Christ. God, another good reference. And then you have Rey, who's like, and then he's like, Rey, like, I don't give a shit about any of this. Let's just go do our own thing. Let's, go ship on a ship over in the shipyard. And she's like, nah. And so he gets mad again. And it's like, okay, so he's just straight up bad then again. Yeah. And he's trying to kill Luke. Got it. But no more redemption arc. And now you can tell the third movie is trying to set up that question again of like, is he good or is he bad? There are rumors that they're going to try and redeem him at the end.
Again?
It's insane, dude.
His whole character is, he's more of a pussy than the way they made the Antichrist in frickin' American Horror Story become a pussy.
Oh my god, that's funny. It's just like, oh.
Yeah. I mean,
it hurts my soul.
I could get like way into this because I have spent so much time thinking about this, and I don't know. If you ever want me to come back and talk about that stuff, I can.
Yeah, I feel like we're pretty much towards the end.
Yeah.
We're pretty much all the way back. We've gone kind of full circle with ideologies, ideas. I mean, again, I obviously we can't stress enough. If you like sci-fi stuff, go watch Book of Eli. Even because honestly, I know how people are about religion and stuff. Like look. Again, take the good with the bad. Like, you always hear all those stories about, oh, there was genocide and horrible things. Yeah, but think about all the redemption stories and the things that keep people moving forward and motivate them to do these things. And
you don't even have to go with that. Like, I mean, people go out in droves and watch Bruce Almighty, and that was more preachy than Book of Eli. So come on.
But I'm like, I guess my whole thing is just like you have the ideas of writers who do all these things and they move forward, and then you have the idea of ideologies and like religions and stuff that give people a basis to kind of, I don't know, it just gives everybody kind of just, the 10 Commandments seem pretty fucking basic. It's like, don't steal, don't kill, essentially just try and stay away from your primal stuff, because that's what really separates us from the animals, is like society and cognitive thinking, like critical thinking. It's one of those things like, yeah, I completely agree with you. The idea of like, if it's gone, what do you do then? It's this idea of just, okay. So, I'm trying to think, there was the second half, like I was talking about writers who tell these stories and they get underappreciated, because of the source material. And, think about it. Like, everybody talks about Lord of the Rings being amazing. How long do those books go? And then you have Game of Thrones, and you just watch the dissension from full characters and people understand it. They just don't know it. It's subconsciously a lot of times. They're like, well, no, he would say it. And then you get to think on it for a minute. And you go, that doesn't really make sense. It doesn't bother me because I'm going to move on to next product and go watch next thing, and I'll get my whatever there. But what if everything starts to become that vapid and empty? And it's like, did I enjoy these because they were good, or were they because of the sign of the time, or was it because it only spoke to me? Was it all subjective, or was none of it subjective? It's always that big fight. And I think, we're always going to have that discussion, I think, especially when it comes to religion or politics or anything like that. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing to be forced to think critically and question all the things around you and come up with your own opinion, and hopefully you find a group of people that agree with you, which would be nice. But
yeah, totally. I mean, I think I get what you're saying, a couple things, and one is that you appreciate a movie like Book of Eli that just kind of takes an idea and explores it to its logical conclusion, and it takes it all the way to the end. And it actually shows, hey, this is really powerful. You can be like Gary Oldman's character and just want to use this for power and manipulation. And hey, let's acknowledge this does give some good basic morals, like don't kill, don't steal, and be a good person and stuff like that. But I think what I would say going beyond that is, you do see that power of a changed life, and you see how Denzel reflects on, like, he did have a lot of loss, and his faith in reading this book did give him like a changed life. And then you see that impact other people around them, is this does give them hope. This does give them a reason to live. I mean, I love that shot when the blind woman actually feels the Braille Bible, and like you just see this like look of hope come over her.
Or it was like euphoric. It was like this wave of just like, oh my God, we can move forward. Like we can literally like there's a chance for something more.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's all so good. It was just it's just fun. Even if like, I mean, yeah, of course you're in a package with the sci-fi stuff, so there's gonna be some moments where you kind of go, what? But like
so maybe to be a little bit balanced to like what you're saying is like, you're talking about you liked how just they showed everything, and I saw it and I liked how they kept it through to the end. And a lot of times, I mean, like almost every Christian character, in anything is not very well written, and they just say a bunch of platitudes like, "Oh, be a good person, just have faith." It's like, well, what are you even talking about?
It's always
right.
hope.
And then this actually carried it through to the end and showed why it's so important. And it didn't say like, "Hey, don't worry about it. Just try to be a good person." I think it actually showed the importance of faith, the importance of not just trying to be a good person, but actually faith giving us the ability to become a good person. And hey, not everybody's going to agree with that or like that, but I was glad to see a movie actually go after that and portray that for once. And as you said, John, watch it, agree with it, don't agree with it, ask questions, talk about it. It's okay to disagree, but I think it's always awesome to talk about.
Yeah, I always say with that movie, my favorite part was because you can pull it back now and use it. It was something I've been saying, and I think I've said it to Michael a few times. You need the perspective, and the best part is Solara is supposed to be that perspective for everyone. She's used to this one thing. Denzel's character's doing something weird, and because he's doing something different, it forces her to look at the world that's around her and realize that I wanted something different, I wanted something more, or something like that. Because just because it's what happens on the day-to-day doesn't mean it's necessarily the right thing and the way it should be. So I think that's great. I love this film. I think it's a lot of fun, especially going back at it a lot longer down the road. And then especially to have your religious perspective actually brought in to kind of scrutinize that portion of it and give it a little bit more weight. I really appreciate you coming on, man. It was great. I really, really, really hope you can make time to come on again. It was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys. I've been looking forward to it all week, so this is awesome. Thank you.
Cool. So I guess we'll call it there. Myke, you got any last minutes?
Minutes. I do have a quote, but before, since you guys gave your last final synopsis of the movie, and it was more in depth, I'm just gonna go fighty apocalyptic movie. Gary Oldman. Check it out.
Boom.
Again,
There it is.
That is going to be the advertisement on the bottom of the poster, Michael. Beautiful as always. So awesome. All right, guys, that was really, really fun. Isaac, again, be sure to throw up some links in the Operation Babble group of your sermons. I'm sure if people would if they like the crisscross analogies of media to religion, I think that could be really fun and useful. So please feel free to share. We'll share some of it as well. Again, hope to see you on another one of these down the road. And all right, everybody, go out, watch some stuff, please. Learn perspectives, and later, nerds.
Quote of the day. It doesn't have to make sense. It's faith. It's faith. It's the flower of light in the field of darkness that's giving me the strength to carry on. You understand? Boom.
Johnny Cash.
You just finished another great episode of Operation Babble. You can catch every episode of Operation Babble on all your audio streaming services, including SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, and more. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Operation Babble. And join the conversation today by searching for the Operation Babble group on Facebook. Links also in the description. Don't forget to find Myke on all social platforms, including YouTube, by searching Myke Shrews, MYKESHREWS. You can find John on Instagram and YouTube via Bald Man Bad. Thanks and have a great day.